It's the SKOR North Twins Show. Baseball.
SKOR North Twins Show. We're back. Twins took 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox. An exciting end of the series yesterday. Not so many great things happening in Cleveland. We don't have to talk about that, but we probably will. But the big news coming to the day, Royce Lewis is back. So is Willi Castro. But Royce Lewis is going in line to make his 2025 debut, most likely tomorrow against the Birds. Hit the like button and subscribe button here in the SKOR North Twins Show. We're going to get into a vibe check, favorite thing, all those things we do on the state of the Twins. But also a shout out to Underdog. Underdog, baseball's back on Underdog. Got PGA happening on Underdog. Heck, the extenders going on for the Wolves and Warriors. So every time you make a pick'em, you can do a new boost every time for each game. Go all the way up to 7 games potentially, or maybe Wolves in 5 again. But if you get in on it right now, go to Underdog. Promo code SKOR, SKOR. That gets you up to a $1,000 deposit match. Go get the Underdog app.
Also, a Dennis Kirk powering the SKOR North Twin Show. Riding season in full effect. It's 75 up to 80 degrees. Sun is shining this week in the Twin Cities, and people are getting their bikes out. ATVs, UTVs, dirt bike season. And Dennis Kirk has you covered with over 185,000 parts, apparel, and accessories. Same-day shipping on orders placed by 6 p.m. Central Time, and free shipping on orders over $89. So shout out to Dennis Kirk and DennisKirk.com for supporting riding season and the SKOR North Twin Show.
Baseball.
All right. State of the Twins. We'll obviously, I'll give you some key categories here, and then we'll obviously get into what it means for Royce Lewis returning and Willi Castro. I can't bury the completely. Can't. I gotta give Willi Castro some respect.
He was
here.
like the team MVP for the first half of last. And I know he was voted team MVP last year, which is ridiculous. MVP. But he was the first half. He was really good last year.
He was. All right. So here's where the Twins stand. They are 15-20 on the season. They are in 4th place in the AL Central. They are 7 games back in the Central. Some key categories here. They are 18th in runs scored per game. They are 22nd in team OPS. They are 11th in runners in scoring, with runners in scoring position. Some pitching categories here. They're 9th in team ERA. They are 9th. They're top 10 in team ERA. The starters have the 6th best ERA in baseball. The Twins starting pitching staff does. The bullpen did take a little dip. They're now 13th. I believe they were 10th a week ago in bullpen team ERA, but they're 13th, still above league average. Baseball Reference, some playoff odds. Also, I'm going to give you 2 different sites here because I saw some fans asking about this. Baseball Reference gives the Twins a 7.6% chance to make the playoffs. That's down 0.1% in the last 7 days after losing 3 out of 4 in Cleveland, but taking 2 out of 3 in Boston. Fangraphs, though, gives the Twins a 35% chance to make the playoffs. So quite the difference between 7% and 35%. So with Royce now in line to make his season debut, getting Willi Castro back. By the way, Edward Julian and Mickey Gasper being optioned off the roster to make those corresponding moves. What are the vibes, Judd, with Royce and Willi Castro now returning to the Twins?
They are turbulent, and it's sort of been the story of this entire team. But the road trip actually, I thought, and now hopefully the return of Royce and Castro will help out a lot, but the road trip sort of encapsulated the season too, right? You win in Cleveland, you score 11 bleeping runs. The next 3 games you can't hit. You get to Boston, same problems, and you're right. I mean, the starting pitching on this trip was fantastic. 2.43 ERA. Absolutely great. Bullpen was not as good, but the bats were the problem. But the last 2 days, you win games in Boston, and Boston is, I think, 15-15 now. But, I mean, they're a nice ball club. You're in Boston. So here's what I think the turbulence is, though, and here's where it has to end, okay? With Lewis back especially. You are now coming home, 6-game homestand. Baltimore for 3. They are 13-20. Something's wrong there. Trouble in Baltimore. They're in trouble. Then you get the Giants, who have been one of the biggest surprises in all of baseball in a positive way. So with Lewis coming back, with the starting pitching actually doing its job really, really well of late for sure, they're turbulent, but you need to get into smooth air. You need to smooth this out now. It can't be up and down and up and down, and the plane is bouncing. You got to get over the turbulence if you're a good pilot and bring this thing in to where you actually give yourself a chance, because there are elements of this team that are doing that. And hopefully for their sake, the return of Royce helps out. But I mean, I'm not going to get too excited about what happened in Boston when the Cleveland series turned into a great start and a disastrous next 3 games. Phil?
Yeah, I would say the vibes are now or never. Now or never. You've got Royce Lewis coming back here. He is the heart and soul of your organization. All due respect to Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa, but Royce Lewis is the present and the future of your organization. And you did a good job a couple different times here and there where it looked like the season was about to go completely over the waterfall. You fight back and you take 2 out of 3 in a couple. This is like 2 different weeks now where it's like, oh, the season's teetering, and then they win a couple games. So you're still buried when you're 5 games under 500 and you're buried behind a bunch of teams and you're 7 games back. You don't have time to waste. So I say now or never. Royce, you're not fully healthy as a team, but Royce Lewis is a really important piece. You kind of weathered it without him. I think in a perfect world, you would have been 500 or a little bit above, but it's still kind of there for you if you win a couple series and now you're inching your way back. But it's hard to overlook now 3 to 3.5 months of really aggressive losing baseball, going back to like August of last year, call it 3 months. So I'm looking for the Royce Lewis addition to spark the organization here over the next few weeks. I'm not saying they become World Series contenders, but it's now or never. If you continue to spiral here, you're going to lose track of the calendar. It's going to be June, and I'm sorry, but the 2019 Nationals or the 2006 Twins, the 91 Twins, you're using anomalies with Hall of Famers up and down some of these things. MVPs. This is not that. They don't have the talent in that lineup that like the 06 Twins did. You can't just be buried in the standings in June. So you got to go. It's still early May. There's still time. So use the Royce Lewis thing. I'm giving him a pep talk, I feel like. Royce Lewis should be the jumping off point for the season. If not, 2026. Here we come.
Yeah, the vibes are there. I mean, there's no more excuses now. Like, you got Royce coming back. You have Willi Castro, who was a switch hitting and team MVP and an all-star last year. I mean, the grind this team has to make to score 4 runs a game is it's unbearable to watch at times. Like, they're putting men on base against Cleveland. No one can drive them home. You also have a product, though, of Mickey Gasper playing every day. And God bless Cody Clemens. He's not his dad. But they're putting Christian Vazquez is struggling. They have guys in that lineup that should be nowhere near a major league contending lineup. So now that you insert Royce, you insert Willi Castro, you're 5 games under 500. You have a top 6, borderline top 5 pitching staff, and you're 5 games under. The pitching staff has held up and done its job. I know Ori Alcala's been a problem. We can talk about that. It hasn't been perfect, but the pitching has done its job. The bats need to start coming through. Now you have the personnel. There is no more excuses. You have to go on a run right now.
Or else. Bye.
The pitching, it's tough because it feels like as bad as the pitching was the first couple weeks, and as bad as a couple of the key relievers have been, it feels like you've wasted some really good starting pitching over the first month and a half, and you're
Joe
not
Ryan's
necessarily...
last 2 starts. I mean,
yeah,
that Boston performance, but in Fenway on Friday night, you have to win that game for him.
Yeah, it just and you're going to go through stretches where those guys have a rough 2 weeks, and if your bats can't compensate the other way around. So, can I give you along that line my favorite thing here? Can I jump in line here?
Yeah, absolutely.
My favorite thing continues to be Bailey Ober. I legitimately think he is the best starting pitcher on this staff. I thought it last year too, but the numbers never fully line up because he always has to chase his ERA after allowing 9 runs in the first start of the season. He's doing the exact same thing he did last year after the absolute terrible first game. He gives up the 8 earned runs in, what was it, 2 2/3 against the Cardinals. He was sick. He probably shouldn't have even been starting. Velocity was down, and they win that game on the back of his 6 really strong innings on Saturday. So in the 6 starts since the debacle in the first game, here's Bailey Ober, a 2.00 earned run average. Opponents have a 650 OPS against him, which is magnificent, like for him. He has induced a 55% ground ball rate, which is, for a starting pitcher, that is super high end. That is a heavy fastball that he's throwing. And get this, not necessarily known as he can get some strikeouts, but he's not necessarily like a strikeout artiste,
No. Nope.
But he generated on Saturday 18 swinging strikes in 6 innings. So he's up, and in addition to that, 12 looking strikes too. So he had these guys frozen. He's getting ground balls, and it's been really impressive to watch Bailey Ober again chase that ERA that he spikes the last 2 years at the start. But he's now got it for the season under 4, so 3.72 on the season here. And I think he might actually be the best, most consistent starting pitcher in this rotation.
And I don't blame him this year. That starting him in St. Louis a day, or 2 days after he was bedridden, like with an IV in, that was not fair. So yeah, no, he's been great. And look, the starting pitching of late has been really damn good. Like they are getting starts that if they could hit there, they would probably be what? Not great, but even. Like they could be, if this team was getting the requisite amount of punch with the bat, you'd feel really pretty good about them right now. And yeah, Bailey's been great. Joe Ryan had the bad start against the Braves, but he's been great. If you go down the list, they've been getting good enough pitching to be a better team. And yeah, I fault Bailey for the start in Kansas City. He got hammered, embarrassing last year. I actually absolve him completely. It's not your fault with the Cardinals start. That was just crap to start him.
What's amazing is, so if they have that blemish, that's on their resume, the Bailey Ober blow-up start in St. Louis. That is on their team ERA resume, and they're still 6th in baseball with it. And if you even remove it, the team starting pitching ERA is near a sub-3. It's 3.11 on the season. So the Twins starting pitching is absolutely doing its job to win games. And you can't waste it. That's the thing. You can't waste those starts from them. So I'll give you a favorite thing. I want to go on the offensive side. It's Ryan Jeffers. So he got off to a little bit of a slow start, and there was a run there. And actually, if you really go back to 2023, when he basically won the catching job back after they brought in Christian Vazquez, they didn't think Jeffers was ready. There was a run there in 2023, and then for the first probably 6 weeks of last year, where Ryan Jeffers was probably one of the best catchers, one of the most productive offensive catchers in baseball. And in the last week, he was great. He had 8 hits, 2 home runs, 6 RBI, hitting 400. And in the last 30 games, slashing 278, 363, 433. It's a position where it's very hard. There's only 4 or 5 guys that are elite and above league average in terms of being a threat offensively. It's a hard position. I think we are getting closer to like athletic freaks being catchers than we were back in the day of just put old, as Royce loves to say, put Pudgy back there and just cross your fingers. These guys are now built to be just absolute freak athletes. But Ryan Jeffers is a very hot and cold, sometimes streaky hitter. But in the last week, he was huge for them, driving in some runs, and his bat is now kind of finally leveling out to a consistent and obtainable stretch.
Yeah. They need him to be. There's so many dudes who've just been underachieving in this lineup, and there's so many guys like Ty France. We don't really know. We saw what his peak was 3 years ago, but then he's had some injuries and he's shown some flashes. It feels like Ryan Jeffers, in the middle of his prime, healthy as we know. It's not like he's back behind the plate for 155 days. He's had rest the last couple of years. His bat should not be declining over the last couple of years. So it's good to see some life back in that thing. He should be a guy that you trust to hit a bunch of home runs and doubles in the middle of your lineup based on what we saw from his peak a couple of years ago.
Judd, do you have a favorite thing?
Oh, I do. I want to talk about my guy, the Flow, Harrison Bader, the Flow.
He was on my list too. Yeah.
First of all, offensively, he's not gifted, but I think he does his job for the most part. Like, you're not going to, with where he hits in the order, you're not going to crap on his production. But I want to talk about something near and dear to the heart of this entire show, and that is defense. Outfield defense, which we have been harping on for how long? Like, you have to improve your outfield. You cannot have a black hole in left field and just be like, oh, it'll work out. Harrison Bader, for the month of April, was named the American League Defensive Player of the Year by Sports Info Solutions after producing 7 total runs saved. He has been everything that you could possibly want for what you signed him for. Again, he's not a superstar, but he makes plays. When Buxton doesn't play, he's made some great plays in center. And shockingly, a guy who played center can move to left field and still play pretty well. I thought it was so different. No, it's not. He's an athlete. So that, my favorite thing is, and they did this to a certain degree 2 years ago. Buxton didn't play with Michael A. Taylor. But again, what have they done? They addressed an area where if you try to get by, you're going to hurt your pitching staff. Like, the part of the reason why the pitching staff is having success is they have guys like Bader making plays. So my favorite thing is what seemed to be a very simple signing. Actually, I think is incredibly important if you want to be taken seriously from an outfield defensive perspective.
Yeah, Bader leads baseball in defensive. It depends on what site you look at, but
Sure.
Fielding Bible. We can just use. I look at different ones, but fieldingbible.com. Great name, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
7 defensive runs saved for Harrison Bader, which is the most in baseball. Now, the Twins this season as a team are -4 defensive runs saved as a team, according to the Field Bible. So if you take away Harrison Bader,
I know why. Yeah.
because a second. The pitching errors too have been horrendous.
Yeah, right. And second base has been terrible.
Yeah, in fact, if you take their pitchers, second baseman, and first baseman this season, the Twins are -8.
Yeah.
That's like 33% of your, positions.
Yeah.
Why is the first base shouldn't be that bad?
It's deceiving though, because
Yeah.
it's not as you see the pitching errors and it's like, oh, that's an error, that's a bad throw.
Sure.
But if a ball shoots through the hole between first and second, and you're just like, that was a base hit. That pitcher shouldn't have given up a base hit. Well, a good first baseman might have moved an extra step and fielded that ball. There's examples like that where, or there's a scoop that.
So if you're bad, so if both your first baseman and second baseman aren't good, you're really screwed because now a lot's getting through that ordinarily wouldn't get through.
It looks like it's just a hit through the hole. Some of them are going to be hits because they're 100 miles an hour off the bat. But that's the biggest misperception of like fielding metrics is that if it's what was I supposed to do? The ball. Well, you're supposed to be faster, more nimble. Or
what about my fielding percentage, Phil? My fielding percentage is really good. It's .975.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
All right, we'll get to some least favorite things here in just a bit. But NABC, Phil, got some banking needs coming up. Where should they go?
Yeah, North American Banking Company, Minnesota-based since 1998, with 6 locations in the Twin Cities: Maple Grove, Roseville, Shoreview, Hastings, Woodbury, and 50th in France. Whether it's something big or something basic, checking and savings. On the big side, maybe you are looking to buy a home, looking for help with the mortgage process, tackling a renovation, looking for financing help with something. North American Banking Company is here for you. They're invested in the Twin Cities, been delivering a better banking experience since 1998 here, and it shows. Go to nabankco.com/Mackey to learn more. That's nabankco.com/Mackey. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. And also here on the SKOR North Twins Show, we are looking to raise some awareness this month for an important cause. Suicide affects the construction industry specifically, and we can all play a part in saving lives and make a difference for the people who literally build our communities. There's a hike on Saturday, May 31st at Legends Crossings at Vikings Lakes, Egan, and you can help spread awareness and understanding and send the message that help is available. And you can raise funds for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Join the Construction Hike for Hope by visiting afsp.org/MN Construction. That's afsp.org/MN Construction.
Baseball.
All right, quick lap of least favorite things. I'll give you one quick here, and I think I used it 2 weeks ago. But just my least favorite thing is figuring out what is different or wrong with Griffin Jax. So he did have a nice run up until, yes, he had some scoreless appearances, which was great. Gives up a home run, makes it a little bit more interesting. Obviously, the Twins close it out. But on the season, so Griffin Jax has an ERA of 6.75. He's allowed 11 earned runs in 16 appearances. His FIP, though, his field independent pitching number, is 3.07. So 3 runs different from his ERA versus the things that he can control. The problem is with Griffin, which is where his ERA has been ballooned a little bit. He's getting hit more than he's ever been before. He's allowing, and this is not great for relievers, but hits per 9, which I don't love to use, but hits per 9 is 11 this season. It was half that number a year ago. He's striking out guys a lot, but he's allowed 3 home runs. He allowed 4 bombs all season. He faced 276 batters last year, only gave up 4 home runs. He's given up 3 already this year, so they need Griffin Jax to be a high leverage guy for them, and there's still been times where it hasn't been as sharp as the Twins need him to be.
Yeah, it's between him and Alcala, they've allowed like 25 runs this season.
Alcala's a mess.
They're averaging giving up like a run per game combined.
Yep.
So far this year.
Alcala.
And those are supposed to be probably 2 of your 4 best relievers kind of on paper going into the season.
Yeah.
Jax maybe being your best or second best on paper.
I'm going to shift to the offensive end because here's mine. Runners in scoring position. So in the first game of the road trip, the Twins scored 11 runs in Cleveland. They went 8 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Absolutely lights out. Oh my God, just a semblance of this will carry you. In the rest of the trip, in which they went 2 and 4, so 7-game trip, the rest of the trip, 6 for 37. 6 for 37 with guys in scoring position. That is a 162 average. That is not acceptable. 0 for 4, 0 for 2, 3 for 14, 1 for 10 in one game. So, I mean, I'm not asking for 8 for 14. That is off the charts good. But I'm asking for a semblance of that, competence after that, something like that. So, like that to me, if you want, why did the Twins get such good pitching, starting pitching especially, and still lose a bunch of games on that trip? That to me jumps off the page as a primary reason why you didn't win more. And by the way, in what was some close games too. Like you lost some close games that you could have won, should have won, but you can't if you don't drive guys in from second or third base.
Yep, it's definitely been a chronic problem for them so far this year. Okay, I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here a little bit, and they weren't terrible yesterday. In fact, Christian Vazquez got on base a couple times yesterday. Got that average up to 188, on base percentage creeping up to 280. But and Chris Paddock again wasn't a train wreck. He actually had 3 or 4 really good starts in a row, but he is absolutely capped as a 5-inning guy. And when we're kind of touting, hey, he gave you 5 solid innings, only gave up 3 runs, and then righted the ship. His expected ERA is still 5.5 this year. Some of that's the damage that was inflicted in the first start. But that battery, you're paying $18 million combined this year for that battery between Chris Paddock and Christian Vazquez. And we've lowered the bar so much for that's like a pretty huge percentage of your team salary allocation. And you thought you were going to get a lot more from those guys. Again, they weren't disasters yesterday. But, and David Festa keeps getting rained out, I feel like. I think he's scheduled to go either tonight or tomorrow. He had a really good start last week for
The poor
St.
Saints.
Paul. They've been rained out 400 times already in the first month. Mathematically impossible. But, David Festa, even if he's ready to come back up again, he gave you 4 really good starts. He's also kind of a 5-5 guy. But you're not paying $8 million for him. You're going to ride these guys because of the sunk cost. And both of them, I think, over the course of a season, both Vazquez and Paddock are negative EV for your team, but you feel the need to chase the money that you spent on them. And they're like veterans. I don't know. I still think Chris Paddock as a reliever could be an interesting thing, but maybe he proves me wrong. He just very rarely goes more than 5 or 6 innings in a start. Yeah. And this year, he's not gone more than 5 innings in any of his 7 starts. So he is very much a 5-and-fly guy.
Woof. Hey, hit the like button and subscribe button here on the SKOR North Twins Show. We'll have a Trevor Plouffe Tuesday tomorrow to talk about the return of Royce and much more. So appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe button, 5-star rating on Apple and Spotify. We'll be talking at you soon.